it. Wonderful.
That is the concept of his sitcom. But this is a guy who has managed his business for the last so many years in Singapore, who set up the business from scratch with me. I mean, you need somebody to run it and all. So while I was fighting a court case, he was running the business. So it's not that he is, this thing, not employed. He did get a job with a very big company in India, one of the very reputed companies, which he joined and which was given to him just on merit. Merit means that of his personality. So we were in Singapore, and Vivek and I, that time he was jobless. He was looking for a job. He had passed out of a university in Scotland, and he was not getting a job because everywhere the answer was, you need experience. How will somebody gain experience if he's not given a break? So we met this chairman of a huge company who was in the stores in Singapore, and Vivek walked up to him and talked to him. And all he said was that my parents have given me the best of education, but they're not able to give me a job. You can help me with that. And the guy was so impressed by his courage to go and talk to a chairman of such a big company that he called him over. He did get a job. That's all written in my autobiography. But in the end, he chose to leave that job and join me in my business here in Singapore. And he's been my business partner. Now, to understand Vivek, he's also, like, I'll go back to his childhood. When I started working, and your dear friend, my husband, was also working. So I was just trying to make a career, right? And he was the major breadwinner. And when we were living in Bombay, that time we still had load shedding. You know what load shedding is about, right? And I do not know till much later why, but when I was in the office and his father was not there and Vivek was alone in the house, he must have been in 5th, 6th standard or 7th at max. And, when he was alone, he used to be a little scared of the dark, and he was totally alone. He never called me. He never, ever called me. Until today, I keep asking him, and the only thing we can figure out is there's some intrinsically, he didn't want to bother his mother because he sensed that mom being at her job is more important than maybe the father coming back, because father is a senior person. He can always pick up his bag and go home, right? So he would call his father saying that there's no light in the house. And this, the father's boss knows, because the father was good enough to have a conversation for the entire 1 or 2 hours till the lights came back.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So he's that kind of a sensitive, sensible boy, really a heart. So when we had gone to USA in the beginning of this year, Vivek, like as I told you, he writes to professors and all, right, trying to engage with them. So he had written several mails. One of them was to a Yale professor in psychology. And he happened to say that, he would be visiting there. This guy knew nothing of Vivek. And so he says, okay, you can come for a meeting with me. So Vivek, and I landed up and I told Vivek, this guy doesn't know that you are bringing your mother along. He says, so? He said, come for a meeting. He didn't say come alone or who are you bringing? He shouldn't have agreed for a meeting, which made perfect sense. So when the professor opened the door, he sees Vivek with me, and Vivek, this is how he introduced him. He said, this is my soulmate, Sujata. And then before the professor could process and think a lot of things to set his mind at rest, I said, I'm also his mother. That's how. But anyway, so
That's
he went.
funny.
And he quizzed the Yale professor on philosophy. I must say that he didn't have answers to Vivek's questions. But I think he will remember, because he asked us, how do 2 people from Singapore land up here? And either, like this shows you how perceptions are. So he said he couldn't fathom that from Singapore to USA to Yale University, how 2 people landed up. And it came out of his conversation. He says, either you all are very rich that you can travel around, or, there was a question mark. So you see, just because we landed up, we have to be either very rich or, I don't know from where we came. So we explain how we
rich in thoughts, at least.
we are rich in thought. But he didn't expect, because even though he was, philosophy professor, he was looking at it from a human perspective where yeah, where you
perspective.
put people in brackets, right? When the boy is telling you that I've not come here to ask for any admission or something, I want to ask you, what do you teach your students? How has philosophy evolved, to make a difference in your students? And that was a question, simple question, which he couldn't answer.
No, he wouldn't have thought about those things.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wouldn't have
When
thought.
he, yeah, when the professor is so worried about not just one person also being surprised by the second. In fact, he should have
Yeah.
taken that as a positive opportunity, that
Yes,
instead of
exactly.
one thought process, he can tackle two thought processes and get a lot more
Lot more
experience of life
information.
from
Exactly.
life out,
Yes.
rather than just talk uh, theory. Yeah, well,
Like I even
that's the
asked him,
world we have.
yeah, and I asked him a simple question. I said, what made you reply to his letter? You
Mm.
know, so that also was a very vague kind of an answer, because first time he didn't reply. Actually, and Vivek had not asked to meet up with him. Vivek had asked him if he would like to come on our podcast, because he was listening to some of the audios and, the audios that the professors say about the lectures and all. So he
Mm.
does listen to a lot of such stuff and all. So he asked him, he didn't answer. Second time he asked him, okay, you can come over. But
Mm.
anyway, I asked him what made you answer. That also he couldn't. It was like a random thing. So what I tried to tell him was that, sometimes random actions can yield a lot of results. You have to take that action, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Which he did say about some other, other stories about how people, were, I forget, Vivek will remember I'll tell you later. One
Mm.
of these famous people, Indian philosophers or somebody who was totally, not recognized, and he kept writing and writing and writing. And then one day some professor, discovered him and replied to the email. So what I was trying to tell him, his own story, but the professor missed the point. Anyway, so he's that kind of a person who, is this philosophy of life. Like he said, he just eats well, exercises well, sleeps well, and he self-educates him. He says that he doesn't want to engage with the world because there is nothing which that, people are going to give him intellectually. Whatever learning he says, he can do it. So imagine this boy that who never was good in studies and who writes very clearly that till his university also he managed to somehow, go through the motion. But his entire today, if you talk to him, he can talk on any subject. This book, that's what I'm saying, has all the subjects in the world that you can think of.
Mm.
So this is the boy who needs to be brought out. You have given me an opportunity, and that's why I thought to myself, I'm not able to do it, and I feel so frustrated and like a failure for not presenting this gem. You've given me that opportunity, and so I said, I must take this opportunity and I must thank you for it. So this is that boy who is one of the kindest, one of the most sensitive person that I can see in this world. And I can tell you can ask me any question about it. The sad thing is, when we tell Vivek about Vivek and he's not got married, or he stays, like with us and all that, there are people who have actually asked me, is he a gay? I mean, just imagine. So I then ask him, what about the monks and the nuns and all? They also lead a celibate life. So does that mean that they are gays or lesbians or what? I mean, as if, the sex is the be all and end all of a human being's life. That's
That,
not,
yeah.
but, we
Well,
put people.
wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing such deep thoughts about Vivek. And again, like I said, Vivek has this free offer, but he has to come out of his shell. That is required in these days and times. He is already managing a business with you, which is wonderful. So he doesn't have problems of money directly as such. Uh, he needs to perhaps, based on his own experiences, uh, talk about the topics, not perhaps, definitely, talk about the topics which are burning topics in his mind. Maybe it's just the question of what is life. Who knows? But then we can explore that based on what resources he goes through. Now he has to carry all that out. Now, Suniyetau, and me. I'm one of those who never got a PhD, although I've done Master of Engineering Management and so many other things, higher level equivalent degrees, with part of it being research. But I am one of those physical people who needs to see the results as one does the research about it. So, uh, despite the fact that family has had people who have done PhDs, like my father, as you know, and my middle brother, who's uh, cancer specialist, research scientist in that. So the family has it, Famida's family has it, and she's doing her PhD. So it's not that we didn't get a chance to think about PhD, but I'm one of those who is an applied theorist, start from theory, apply it to this world. And he may be in one of those situations in which I was, where I was faltering with life in the first few years of my uh, uh, graduation degrees, where I didn't know I wanted to do geology and this and that. But eventually I landed up with computing science, which sort of all of a sudden lit all the bulbs in my mind, and computing science was taking off in those days. So he needs a spark like that. So he has to open up. Now I'm no psychiatrist, as you know, just a person who has experienced life, and with such good friends as you, and knowing kids, your kids and other people's kids and so on. Uh, I can tell you that once you let a child speak, they will come up with the most interesting topics. And I don't think there's any problem
But
with Vivek
but
coming
here
up
is
with
the
those things.
no, but here is the thing which I'm trying to explain. There is no psychiatric evaluation needed for Vivek. He's
No,
highly gifted and talented,
that's
and he
exactly right.
can do. He just chooses not to. For example, where do you see how many that he's got? He can manage a business, he can publish a sitcom, he can write a book, he can talk on any topic. In fact, we even did this YouTube channel, which I will send you the link later. It's called United to Debate.
Mm,
That's where you see both of us taking topics and talking about it, like for and against. In any topic, we decided we will do a for and against, and the
mm,
audience, we had an audience poll in it who could say which was a better presenter, whether I was better presenting my point of view or Vivek was better providing the point of view of the said topic, or their thoughts and all that. So we even did that a couple of episodes. But I think what happens with Vivek is, since there is he, I think, expects things to uh, go forward, become successful, and when that doesn't happen, I think he doesn't have that patience. That is what I feel is his drawback. But I always tell him some things take some time to catch up. However, I can understand his frustration because, like, I'm still out there trying to be discovered and heard and, doing my bit. And people do try to stop me from doing that. Even now, people try to put me down. But, like, there's somebody upstairs. So somebody puts me down. The next day, I know that somebody will also bring me up. So that also happens. But yeah, so he's a guy who's clean soul and who doesn't engage. But I thought, since you're giving me the opportunity, I should, bring him out, and I will tell him the good news that, that all is not lost. His sitcom still has a
oh,
chance of
yes,
for that.
definitely. Not just as a sitcom, but other thoughts that
Yes,
he
other
has.
thoughts. He's written
Yeah.
some stories which are
Mm,
also movie material,
mm,
and if he can write a script without any formal background,
mm,
then that should tell you,
exactly.
that this boy is capable of so much more.
Obviously, he's very capable, and if he can write a book, then we can go further. And the only
Yeah.
thing is, you see, you need some sort of a management scenario where you are there, and uh, uh, other situations are available to him, but
Mm.
he may not be wanting anybody's help. So let him go his way. Think about the topics that he wishes to share, and but there is one thing that he needs to do. He needs to put topics down and then prioritize them first. He has to do it himself. Nobody
Yeah.
can help him. That's not anybody else's thought. He
Yeah.
has to come up with his own thoughts, give them a priority, and then start acting up on them as to which topic I need to work on first, and how far. And then he needs to keep tabs on how much of it has already been shared in the world, and how much he wants to do research with, and who are the people that he needs to be talking to, etc. Anyway, we have run out of time for
Yeah.
this situation, and we'll talk to you in future for your other books. And also, we hope we can bring Vivek along. And I'm also willing to come along to any platform that you guys decide for me to have.
Okay. Good.
Good.
Maybe we should do one united to debate this thing with the three of us.
Yes, definitely. I'm there for you guys, and I'm
Okay.
in fact very happy that it's happened, that our channels are progressing further. So thank you very much, Sujata.
Thank you.
My regards to all the family, and special
Yeah.
love to the kids. And
Mm.
we will soon talk about your other experiences and the third book. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank
Take
thank
care.
you.
All the best.
Okay.
Bye bye.